Welcome and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking Morytania. Got my Morytania shirt on. I kind of like the blue, and we got even a little bit of red right there. Really on theme. Well, let's jump into it. Starting with the overview. This is the map that we're working with. Now, Morytania is not the largest area, not the smallest, but there's also pretty big chunks that don't have a lot going on. So really, we're probably talking more like, a little bit up here, maybe a little bit over here, and then mostly you're going to be spending your time like down here. So either way, let's talk about the notable shops. None of the ones in Morytania are particularly crazy, but you may want to use them anyway. In Canifis, we get ourselves a tannery, and also the grocery shop over here sells a raw shark, so that can be really good for cooking. Over in Port Bootymus, we get ourselves a guy who sells bolt racks. So if you end up going for like a Carol's build, I don't know why you're doing it, but if you did, you don't have to farm out the bolt racks. You can just go buy them from this guy. It's also worth noting that the charter ships over here in Port Bootymus do sell the ectoplasma in buckets, so that can save you a little time with the prayer method that we're going to be talking about in the skilling section. We've also got a few shops in Darkmire. Nothing crazy. They're actually kind of weird. The general store has a long rope. You need 2 of these in order to make the agility shortcut that you can actually see a little bit, like right here. That's normally a task, so you're probably going to have to do that. There's also like a candle shop kind of hiding behind this guy, which sells a bullseye lantern. Interesting. Maybe a task. I think we had one last year that was like light a bullseye lantern, and maybe you don't want to go out of your way to make one. So if you're here, it's an option for you. You've also got the fashion shop here in Darkmire, which sells fire clothing. So if you need extras while you're running around, or maybe you just want a little bit of fashion-scape, that could be a useful shop for you. Now, common trend with Morytania, you're not coming here for like almost anything. There is one category where it exceeds. We're almost to it, but okay, anyway, resource nodes. We do get ourselves blisterwood trees, 62 wood cutting, kind of AFK. It's an alright method. You're probably not going to use it, though, by the time you're here. You do also pick up some farming patches, so we get kind of like the standard farming patch, which has the double allotment, flower, and herb. And then you also pick up another allotment on Harmony Island and an herb patch, though that one does require the elite diary to be completed, so you're probably not going to be using it for quite a long time. On the skilling activity front, it's starting to look a little bit better. We've got ourselves Sepulcher and the Canifis rooftop. Now, I know agility catches a lot of flack. The Sepulcher catches a lot of flack. And, Canifis, you start at 40. It's a little lower than what we have in Varlamore. Sepulcher, you can start at level 52. That's the first floor. Then you unlock a new floor every 10 agility levels, all the way up to level 92, which is required for the final floor. It's also where the ring comes from, the Ring of Endurance. What I will say, I do understand. Sepulcher is not the easiest agility thing. It is quite active. If you want to just like passively train up your agility, you're probably looking at like a rooftop course. You're probably sticking to Varlamore in all honesty. But if you want to actively train it, the Sepulcher is very good, and you are going to unlock things that make it easier as you run through it more frequently. This is one of those things where you do kind of need a good internet connection. So if you're lagging out, you're probably going to hate this thing. Otherwise, you can take it slow. The more time you spend in Sepulcher, the easier it's going to get, because you're going to start learning the different like pathings, the different mechanics that are down there. I am someone who I hated Sepulcher, and then I spent like 20 hours in it for a dead man mode, and then I've actually, I'll say liked it. I bounce between like and love it, just depending on the day. But, I mean, it's a positive experience for me, and especially the 5th floor. I know the 5th floor is really challenging for a lot of people, and it probably will take you some time to get there, but they do have a little, like, extension token in the shop. So if you're running some of the earlier floors, you're able to complete those. You're going to build up some of the reward tokens that come from that are used at the Sepulcher shop. One of the items in there adds 1 minute's worth of time, and there is no limit to how many of those you can use, besides, the limit of your inventory. So if you want to successfully complete the bottom floor, you could go in with as many as 28 of those additional minute token things, and you just pop them as you need them. So you can quite literally spend 30 minutes on the final floor running it just to get it down and still get the reward for it. Is that ideal? No. But I also don't think you're really going to need 30 minutes down there outside of maybe like the first run. And honestly, for Sepulcher, what I would recommend is as you get down to those later levels, don't worry about the time. When you're on the final floor, if you run out of time, the only thing it does is lock the final reward chest. Does that suck? Yeah. But while you're learning it, you don't have to be stressed about the time because you can run the entirety of the floor even though the timer has run out. So you can spend a lot of time down there just kind of getting used to the patterns, figuring that stuff out. There's a lot of guides on YouTube for it as well. But I think I've probably talked about Sepulcher enough, so I'm going to move on from it. I don't think it's as bad as people like to think, but hey, tell me if I'm wrong in the comments. Feel free. Now, in terms of other skilling activities, we do have the Ectofuntus. This is a good prayer training thing that doesn't have a requirement on it, so while I don't necessarily recommend Morytania as a first choice for a region, if you haven't trained your prayer up and you find yourself here, that can be a good option for you. Remember those charter ships, they do sell the plasma in buckets for you already, so it's not actually as slow as you might think. Yeah, it's still not the fastest prayer training method, but it's going to be really, really powerful regardless. Once you get yourself to Darkmire, we do have pickpocketing buyers. This takes 82 thieving, and this benefits a lot if you have like the thieving outfit from Asgarnia, or maybe you have a thieving relic as one of your choices. So this can be really good. Just build up blood shards, build up GP. There's also a couple of different runes that are on the drop table there as well. So all in all, this one can be really, really powerful. We've also got Shades of Morton here. And I actually want to take a minute to talk about Shades of Morton specifically because it's kind of an interesting gameplay loop where you work on this minigame, the Shades of Morton minigame. You kind of like, you repair a little thing that's down there, and it actually gives really, really good crafting XP, up to 40k an hour in the main game. So in leagues, it's going to be actually like a really strong crafting method for yourself if you don't want to do something like cutting gems in Alderaan. Now, you're going to have to do this if you want to interact with Shades. The Shade remains can be burned for prayer and fire making XP. So the reason that you do the minigame is so that you can make the Sacred Oil, which you add to logs. Those are what you use to burn the Shades, fire making, prayer XP. It's actually a really solid kind of like hybrid method there. When you burn the remains, you're going to get keys. These let you go into the crypts or the tome or whatever they call it. And this is going to give you things like the prayer outfit, which is probably going to be worth some points. You're going to unlock things like swamp bark or blood bark, which can be good for magic. And you also have just in general some good drops that you can get. And this is kind of a nice little cycle. So you're training up crafting, you're training up fire making, prayer, you're getting some good stuff. So like if you are here early mid game, this is probably what you're going to spend a lot of time on. But again, I'll circle back to that in the routing section. Kind of jumping back up here to the rest of the skilling activities. We do also get ourselves access to the True Blood Altar. This thing takes 77 rune crafting. Normally in leagues, this is the best rune crafting training that you're going to get, depending on the relic choices. But if you have something like Banker's Note or Last Recall, and you have the Pure Essence, man, you can come out here. It's really fast rune crafting XP. Well, really fast. I mean, it is fast. I think runecrafting is still probably one of the slower skills that you're going to train in leagues, so going up to 99 might be a bit painful, but this is definitely going to make it less painful for you. We also get Dale Essence in Morytania, which gives 50% more XP when used for runecrafting. As it takes 60 mining to get, it does take time to acquire, so if you have a better source of Pure Essence, this may not be worth your time. It also can't be noted, so things like Banker's Note can't take advantage of this, but assuming, you've got like Last Recall, I did this last time in the league. You just have a huge stack of Dale Essence. It can save you a bunch of time. And while I'm on the topic of quests, because you do have to be in Darkmire to get this, last year we got a Taste of Hope auto-completed. That is the quest right before Sins of the Father, which is the one that unlocks Darkmire for you. So that does mean in order to access a lot of the stuff like Sepulcher, like pickpocketing buyers, like doing the blood rune crafting, you're gonna have to do this quest yourself, more than likely, unless they give us a way to, like, pay to unlock quests. So that can be a bit annoying. The requirements on Sins of a Father aren't actually that high. It's like 50s to 60s on a number of skills. You are gonna need the combat stats to fight the quest boss, so that can be a little bit tedious. You probably want to be in, like, the 60s or 70s as well. Maybe you have some Barrows armor, which we're about to talk to in the bosses section. So it's not gonna be, like, horrible, but also the things in Darkmire typically have really high requirements anyway, so you probably want those before you show up here regardless. I don't think it's like that big of a deal. Just kind of prepare yourself. You may have to do that quest. And of course, we do have our own demon-themed Slayer Master and Canifis. And again, with the Slayer Masters that are here, they are all going to be essentially the same. They're just going to give you tasks for the areas that you have unlocked, so this isn't like a crazy benefit for Morytania, but he is probably one of the closer ones to a teleport, so one of the easier Slayer Masters to use if you want to do that. Another thing that I want to talk about is temple trekking. Now, this can be useful, especially early on. The temple treks, some people may think they're annoying. You can actually run the easiest path with the easiest NPC and still get a good amount of rewards while skipping all of the encounters. There are very few encounters that you can't skip, and the benefit of doing this is you can either get some of the resources that I show here, so things like watermelon seeds for farming. You can get ores if you want to like slowly work up your smithing. It gives you coal and iron. You can get pure essence from here, so if you didn't want to do the Dayal essence mine, or maybe you don't have access to it, you can build up some here. There's some low-level herbs on this table. There's also bowstring if you want to kind of improve some of your fletching XP potentially. And you can also get tomes that give you random XP. You don't get to choose the skill. This is the spread. Probably not like the best spread of skills, but you know, maybe you don't want to train mining, or you use this to get up some of those early levels, avoid some of the more like tedious or annoying training methods, then this can be useful for you. Another thing I want to throw out here for Morytania, you do get access to the Bone Crusher after you've completed the Hard Diary. Gets better at the Elite Diary, but as like a passive prayer training thing, this can be really good for you. Plus, you know, the Hard Diary gives you more runes from Barrows, which we're about to talk about, so that can also be a nice benefit there. Alright, now we're really getting into the strong point for Morytania, the PVM side of things, the mobs and the bosses. This is the big Slayer region. I know a couple of the other regions I've said, hey, these are really Slayer forward. Morytania is the Slayer region, mainly because this is where you get the Black Mask. Now, the Black Mask comes from Cave Horrors, which requires 58 Slayer. I kind of hope that they give us like the Black Mask effect from somewhere else so that you don't feel forced to take Morytania if you want that Slayer boost. We'll talk about how this impacts the other combat styles here in a minute. Now, one thing that you might be questioning is, how am I going to imbue the Slayer Helm? Yeah, it's a little bit up in the air. You know, normally you'd go to Mistland, you'd go to like the Isle of Souls, and then you'd get points there, and then you could imbue it. Now, I suspect we're going to have a way to imbue things like the Black Mask, like the Dagonoth rings, in every region. I could be wrong. I think that would be a little weird, though, for us to force us to like go into a specific area. Like Kandarin has Nightmare Zone, which you could typically use to imbue. Just keep in mind, the base Black Mask works with melee. We'll have to imbue it if we want bonuses for mage and range. Hopefully they give us some way to do that. I mean, surely they will. Now, in terms of other PVM that we're getting ourselves the Slayer Tower. So, of course, that has a bunch of different Slayer creatures in there. Things like Gargoyles at 75, Necreals at 80, Abyssal Demons at 85. Nice little call out for the Whip, which might be hard to come by in some regions, so that can be nice. We've also got Araxites, which are 92 Slayer, and I will say probably the best mob for farming out superiors. There's an area that is multi, especially if you have a cannon or like the Venator bow, you can just camp out there. Great for imbued heart hunting. You can technically get that in other regions, but I think that's a nice benefit for Morytania. You'll, of course, also get access to Fire Watches, which you can just kill while you're in Darkmire. So that can be like AFK Blood Shard farming, get yourself a little bit of like alcohols and things. And then, of course, Shades. There's a whole range of Shades that you can kill for the Shades of Morton. Now, they do range in terms of requirements and combat levels. It starts at 5 fire making, going all the way up to 95. Yes, there are Rosewood logs now, which take 97 fire making, but because sailing's not enabled, we probably aren't going to be able to access those at all. So, 95 fire making being the cap. They do, in terms of their combat level, they scale up. So, you know, the lower tier ones, where you use like the lower tier logs, they're going to be a little bit easier. If you're going up to like 95, it's like the highest level Shade, you know, up in the like 130s, 150s for that combat level. So it can be a little tough, but there's a lot of stuff that's going to support you there. So you're probably not doing that early game anyway. And then, of course, the bosses. Now, there is a pretty good spread of bosses. This is a raid region. So, of course, we're getting Theater of Blood. This is a 5-man raid. Most of the rewards are very melee focused, but, again, we've got things like the Sanguinesti staff. You can get yourself a Mega Rare voucher. And I will say this is probably one of the better raids to farm, if not the best raid to farm. It's hard to say with TOA. I like TOA better for some other reasons, but in terms of the actual purples, getting purples from TOB doing hard mode, it's guaranteed. If one person pulls it, you're going to pull it like every raid anyway in hard mode. So you're going to be able to farm out those purples really, really well. And because TOB is a set raid, it's going to be really quick. So a bit of a toss-up between this and the desert for just going for the purples. But I do think the spread of gear that you're getting here probably leans towards melee, a lot like the rest of this region is. Because then you also have things like a Raxor, big Slayer boss, 92 Slayer, but you're getting the Noxious Halberd, you're getting the best in-slot melee necklace. That's really good. We got Barrows. It's there. It's a thing. Yes, it's easy to do. Yes, you're going to get some pieces. Dear Lord, if you want full sets, I wish you the best of luck, because if they don't give us dupe protection, that's going to be a pain in the butt. I'm going to talk about that here in a second, but I love Barrows. I love the gear. I don't know about the full sets thing, man. Of course, we also have Grotesque Guardians. A lot of people don't like this boss. Kind of like a stinker to farm in the main game. But we also have Fazani's Nightmare, which is equally a stinker, if not worse. So it's a little hit and miss on this stuff in here, but there is a lot of good items in the mix. So that is something, a lot of bosses that you can do. Now, last year we had Echo Grotesque Guardians. This did make the boss fight a lot better, a lot easier to farm out. Pain in the butt to get to, because if you got unlucky, you were killing the Grotesque Guardians 50 times, and that took both melee and ranged, because you couldn't melee the, flying gargoyle. So, awful for what the bonus was. We got essentially, upgraded Barrows gloves. They weren't bad, they just weren't great, and I feel like there was a missed opportunity on these for, especially, this row of stats. Look, okay, I don't like stat sticks as much as the next guy, okay? Items like these should at least have good stats. Now, it was good for melee, but, come on, give a little bit of range strength or, magic percentage, maybe even a little prayer bonus. Give them a little bit more, because Morytania is heavily leaning towards melee. If your range or your magic, you feel bad taking it, don't make us feel bad on the Echo item, especially, you take range to kill the normal Grotesque Guardian boss. You have to range it. You know what I mean? So I feel like these gloves probably could have been boosted up a little bit, but of course the main thing for these were empowering the Barrow sets. And now again, like I mentioned, farming Barrows for a lot of people to get a full set, awful, terrible, horrible. Oh my god. All you want to do is try full Darox because it gets more damage with these gloves, and you can't pull the helmet, and you're 6,000 Darox deep. You don't want to do that. You feel like a clown, all right? You feel like a clown. You feel like you're wasting your time in this temporary game mode. I think I've said this in almost every video, and I say it especially here for Barrows. Mod Sarny or Arcane or whoever is working on this one, please, for everybody's sanity, give Barrows, if nothing else, dupe protection. Oh my lord, the amount of people, this wasn't everybody, but the amount of people who went, I'm not even joking, 3,000 dry trying to get their full Darox set. Crazy. So many people who took Morytania burnt out just because the gloves, they seemed cool. Everybody loves Barrows. It's like an iconic armor. The effect boosting, I mean, we could go back and forth about whether or not all of the effects were actually good, but you want to play around with it. You know what I mean? Make it an easier experience. You should not have to do 2,000 Darox kills in a temporary game mode. Barrows is not meant for that. Oh, it was soul sucking, dude. Trying to go for a full set if you were missing one piece, absolutely soul crushing. Horrible. Oh, I so hope. If they want to keep this effect, I so hope that they make it so that Barrows is an easier farm. Anyway, all right, I'm moving on past Barrows. In terms of the Echoes, I actually think there are a lot of bosses here that could benefit from it being an Echo boss. Grotesque Guardians, you get the speed up in the fight. It's not a bad thing. I would kind of like to see that stay, especially because you're probably going melee for taking Morytania. But, Fazani's Nightmare is not a fun thing to farm either. So that's a good candidate for hey, let's speed this thing up. Likewise with Barrows, you know, if we want to do something that empowers Barrows, tie it behind Barrows. Do like an Echo Barrows thing. Maybe when you run Echo Barrows, you also have a chance to pull like 8 items. So that would help with the farming aspect too, without the need for dupe protection. I'm sorry, the poor soul who's going to have to farm 6,000 of these like Echo Barrow kills. It's going to happen to somebody. But at least this way, it probably only happens to you specifically and not like 10% of the player base. Okay, now it's going to happen to me. I'll be the one to bite the bullet if I go to Morytania, all right? I'll do it for everybody. You know, also Araxor, I think it could be really fun because the Noxious Halberd's like already a really strong weapon. I would love to see something on melee that has that same kind of like ranging style. I've seen some suggestions for like the Raids 4 reward where it has, you know, like a sort of, I don't know what the thing is called. You have like a mace on the front of a chain. You can swing it around. You can, you know, kind of like almost whip it out there. Have something that has like a 4 range tile. That would actually be super, super cool for melee. I really loved that about Echo Hespori last year, having that as like a ranged melee option. So something like that coming from Araxor, I would love that. I don't think the boss fight itself actually needs that much help, but you know what? It's here. Yes, I am basically saying make every boss in the region Echo to solve some problem. I know. Will they do it? Out of these, I'd probably pick Barrows. I think Barrows probably needs the most help. I really love the Barrows set effects, and I really hate the Barrows farming. So I did pick that one. Just solve that one. Grotesque Guardian doesn't have that good of drops anyway. We don't need to farm that one out. So on to the gear. Melee is definitely the one eating the best out of all of the styles. There's a lot here that you can use. Barrows gear, you're struggling a little bit if you need the specific sets. So that's a little bit of a shame. Bizani's, are you going to farm for the full crush set? Is it even worth it? Probably not. So I think realistically what you're looking at in terms of the melee gear, these are probably the things that you're going to actually farm out. You're probably going to want Darox for the set effect. You probably want Guthans because you can do like the mosquito build. You know, you're like poking, you're healing. You got the Blood Fury in there. You maybe have some passives in like your combat masteries. So that is a fun build if you're in this region. You're also probably going to be spending some time in the raid, so getting like full Justy for some sort of tank build. Last year, this was good even for not melee, because range had a never miss thing, so you have people wearing like darts with full Justy, and it worked. You know, so you might be doing something like this. You got the Noxious Halberd, best in slot necklace. The Rapier has lost some luster over the years, but it's still a really powerful weapon. You get the best in slot offhand, as well with the Defender. You get the Arania boots, which you may use to avoid some like different web mechanics things. The Mega Rare for the Scythe. Melee is looking really, really solid. For range, we don't talk about range. You know, yeah, you do get a Mega Rare. You can get a Twisted Bow. You get Carol's. It's a set. It's there. Honestly, I think what I would love to see for, I mean, both range and mage. We'll talk about mage here in a second, but it's going to be true for both of these styles. If we keep the whole, like, boosting barrow sets things, get this closer to a blowpipe DPS-wise. Let it do the double hit thing like it did last year. Make it a guaranteed double hit, and make the double hit do the same damage. I don't know if that math's right. I don't think this should be the same tier as a blowpipe, because that would probably devalue Taranwin, which is already a bit of a struggle over there. But I think it should be close, right? I think this can be, like, a really powerful mid-game option for you. Maybe it outdoes Moon's armor. I think that would be cool. And if the gloves get like some extra range accuracy or range strength, even better. And then of course, on to mage, you know, you do have some interesting options. Blood Bark. There's maybe a little asterisk next to that one because we may or may not be able to get it. I'll talk about that here in the combination items in a second. But, you know, that can improve your healing for like blood spells. So if you want to do kind of like the magic equivalent of the mosquito build, that can work really well for you. Aram's is a little bit outclassed by Blue Moon. I think Blue Moon's going to be easier just because the dupes that you're going to get at Barrows can be a pain in the butt. If they solve that farming problem, though, it is probably easier to get to Aram's than it is to get to Blue Moon. So this can be a good set for you. Having the whole thing equipped does allow you to auto-cast some extra spells as well, so that can be a benefit here. Likewise with those gloves, if they just increase the set effect a little bit more, give it a little bit of magic damage on the gloves, I think that magic could have a decent setup here. And especially because, yeah, I mean, you've got some endgame weapons. You got the Sanguinesti staff, so if you want to use that for like just healing up, it's a charge staff. It'll just heal you some of the damage that you do. You can pick up a Tunic and Shadow there in the raid. And the Nightmare staff. I hope you don't have to farm for Nightmare staff. I'm gonna be real. Farming Physanis is such a pain because you have to get the staff, you have to get one of the orbs for it. It is really fun for like a standard spell, spec build type of thing. Are you gonna take this region just for magic? In its current form, I don't think so. Maybe I'm crazy there, but I don't know. I think you're going to feel pretty bad if you take Morytania for magic. Now, when it comes to the combination items, the Rancor and the Avernic Defender, I think we're going to get those as full item drops. So I'm not necessarily worried about these. The one thing I am worried about is Bloodbark. Now, you do unlock the Bloodbark spell by going through Shades of Morton, doing that mini game, farming out the chests in there. The problem is you need the normal bark armor, split bark, in order to make the blood bark. Now you do get the like crafting materials for it, but you typically have to go to the Wizard's Tower, which is in Mistland, if you want to make the armor. You can get some of the pieces from Implings, but you can't get a full set there, so it's like not great. Some of the pieces can come from the Wilderness, so you might be able to like kind of piece it together with a weird combo, but something tells me they're probably going to give us access to making this armor just by taking Morytania, because otherwise it's going to be impossible, and it would be such a shame to lose Bloodbark. Like, yeah, you're probably not coming here for magic, but it is kind of like a fun thing to do with Ancients, so we'll see. We'll see what they do for this one. Here I have got the task breakdown, the numbers from last year: 7 easy, 35 medium, 31 hard, 23 elite, 5 master. On the task side of things, TOB, you got entry mode, you got the normal mode, you got hard mode. You're probably going to be farming a lot of hard mode for purples, but all of those are going to have some like KC tasks, some combat achievements as well in the mix. All of these different bosses, so like Nightmare, Physanis, Barrows, Grotesque Guardians, Raxor, with 2 R's. That's not how you spell it. You're going to have KC tasks, you're going to have combat achievements with it. We've also got on the skilling side things like Sepulcher, going into the Essence Mine, getting like a certain number of Dale Essence when you turn it in, pickpocketing buyers. And then, of course, all these bosses have rare equipment that you're going to do. So, Inquisitor, Justy, Blood Fury, Noxious Halberd, not all of them are fun to farm. But one of the bright sides of Morytania is, historically, it is the highest point region, tied with Karen, up at 10,200 points. Now, I expect this will not be the case this year, just because Karen and Varlamore got new content. So it's likely that this will move down to like 2nd or 3rd place for highest point region, but we'll see. Without Misthalin, we may see some things redistributed over to this area as well to kind of keep it up there on the points. But now let's talk the routing. When would I pick this? How would I use Morytania? Early? I don't think you should do this to yourself. If I'm being real, like half of the content is locked behind Slayer and the other half is locked behind Darkmire, so coming here first, I think it's going to be a little tough to scrape together the points to get to your next area. Might feel kind of bad. But if you do, Barrows is really easy to get into. It's got that air weakness now, so taking down the Barrows boss, you just get protection prayers, and you're basically immediately there. So you can get some points out of that. Ectofunctus is good for early prayer. I mean, you can use it to get your prayer up into the 70s range. It'll be pretty fast. I do really like Shades of Morton, and I do really like Temple Trekking. Both of those you're going to be able to access pretty quickly. They do have some good early benefits, early XP, early training stuff involved in there. So it's not like the end of the world. I still would not call Morytania a first pick region, though. So then let's pretend that you're here in the mid game, because that's probably when you're taking this. Now you're focusing in on, Shades of Morton. You can get some of those stuff done, get your prayer up that way. That'll passively train your fire making, give you a little bit of crafting as well. You're also looking to farm out Barrows. It is easy to do, so you're probably going to be pretty quick in burning through this. You don't necessarily have to complete full sets here if we don't have a way to kind of like solve that problem. But, you're going to pick up some different tank pieces, even if they're mismatched. And it's going to help you a lot as you go into some of the other combat that you're going to be doing. And of course, Slayer is a big focus of the region with the Slayer Tower. So like you're going to be doing a ton of Slayer while you're here, picking up some of the drops that are there as well. Get a whip, get some rune boots. Maybe you get yourself a granite maul as well. That might be a fun spec weapon if you've got like a spec build kind of working yourself towards. I also think opening up Darkmire in this part of the game is going to be a good goal for yourself. Getting to Vyres is normally really quick because thieving in general is really quick. That's also giving you some of those rune crafting options. You got Sepulcher if you love agility. I put it in the end game, I think. So you don't have to do it now, but hey, if you like it, it does give a lot of supplies there. And of course, there's Grotesque Guardians. It's not exactly a hard boss. It is kind of annoying just because it requires 2 styles. So if you're weak in range or melee, you're going to struggle a little bit with this boss, but hopefully we don't have to farm it out too much. If it is the Echo boss, get to the Echo boss and then farm that out because it's not a very hard boss fight. If we get Echo Barrows, this is also the time where you're probably going to hard farm that too. Both of these, they're not particularly difficult. You just have to get to the actual like enhanced version of the boss, and then you send it. It won't be too bad for you. Once you get into the end game, now you're looking to really get your points out of that rune crafting. You're looking to do Sepulcher, or you skip them. I don't blame you if you skip them. You got Araxor, that 92 Slayer requirement. Man, go and do that, especially if you're melee. Get the Noxious Halberd. That thing's actually just like best in slot in a lot of bosses in the main game, so it's going to be especially powerful in the league. Little asterisk there, depending on how they do the attack speed rounding. Yeah, maybe there'll be some things that outclass it, but I'll be a little surprised if that's true. And of course, you're going to be sending a lot of TOB. Find yourself a 5-man. If you don't have 5 friends that took Morytania, go into the league's Discord and just ping some folks. Or look around on the world. There's probably going to be a decent amount of people in Morytania, especially in the first couple of weeks of leagues. So I'm sure you'll be able to find a group. Just start sending those, start building up those purples, get yourself a mega rare. You're going to be eating pretty good in this raid. There's also Phazani's Nightmare. Yep, it's there. It's bad. I'd probably skip this boss. Like maybe do the 50k C task and then call it good. If you get some drops, great. If not, the armor itself, it's not really that good. The weapon, it's not going to matter. You've got some other options for yourself. So like, unless you're doing a fancy mage build, in which case, I wish you the best of luck here. God, what a nightmare of a boss to farm. It's aptly named, I guess. So now we come to the pros and the cons section. One of the nice things is Morytania is really straightforward about what it does well. If you like Slayer and if you're melee, this is your region. It's got like basically everything that you want here. So it's almost a no-brainer. It's also very PVM heavy, which, I mean, if you're going melee, a lot of people like PVM anyway. This is the thing. It also has a side benefit of having things like Blood Rune Crafting or Firewatch Pickpocketing, so there are a couple of high-level skilling things. But on the con side, yeah, there doesn't really have a lot of like supportive skilling here. I mean, you do get drops from the bosses, so they can kind of help a little bit, but it's nothing crazy. Even the Wilderness is going to do better in terms of supplies, I think, than the PVM drops that you're going to get in total from Morytania. So I'm not really looking at this as like a skilling region. Also, if you aren't melee, it's going to suck. It's just going to suck unless they change something this year. Yeah, you can get a Twisted Bow and you can get a Tunic and Shadow, but like, that's it. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit unfortunate that Slayer's tied behind this region, or rather the Slayer Mask, because I think the Slayer Mask would be really fun to pick up for any style, but it's kind of only here, and Morytania is a melee region, so we'll see if they do something different with the Slayer Mask, but yeah, for range and magic, you're probably passing on this region. Barrows can be absolutely atrocious to farm if they don't give us something to help this. I mean, I think myself, I got fairly lucky, and I think I completed everything within like 300 or 400 chests, so that could be you. There were a ton of people in my clan chat last year that were up in the thousands, so like, it's a pretty nasty spread. I mean, you're probably realistically expecting to land somewhere around like 750 or 1,000 chests to get all of the pieces, and if you get unlucky, I mean, good luck. You might be there for 3,000, and that's not even like exaggerating. And of course, Phazani's Nightmare. Nobody likes this boss. They did improve the boss a little bit. They removed a phase. The drops aren't quite as uncommon as they were. It's still terrible. No one wants to farm it. So, what are my thoughts on Morytania? Most of them are there, but yes, I think for melee, this is a must pick. It's your raid region. There's too much here not to take it. Barring any crazy echo items like somewhere else, but even if that's true, you're probably still taking Morytania, unless there's like a really, really, really specific build like what we had last year with the Compass Blade, and then taking Tehranwyn for like the crystal armor effect. But we'll have to see as they reveal more information. In terms of when you take this, again, I think it's more of like a second or third pick. Most of this stuff is in the end game or like late mid game. So take some other regions, farm your other stuff out, get the points, get yourself up in the relics, and then come here when you're ready to do more like that end game farming and send a bunch of TOB, get all the raid drops, pick up your like Noxious Halberd, stuff like that. So it's definitely like a later pick. But that is it for Morytania. We still have one more area to go, and they have started doing reveals, it seems like. So, yesterday's anything to gauge by. So we might be doubling up a little bit on the videos right now. So make sure to subscribe if you want to see all of those. I will have these slides available in my Discord. If you want to have those up and you're running around the area, just kind of like a reminder for yourself on your second monitor. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I will catch you in the next video.